Narcissist gives you sexual OCD. This is spiritual warfare. Have you ever felt trapped in a loop of intrusive, distressing thoughts after encountering a narcissist? It's like they embed themselves into your mind, leaving you with a heavy emotional and mental burden long after they're gone. When narcissists exploit your vulnerabilities, especially in intimate ways, the impact can feel overwhelming, as if they've planted seeds of chaos that keep growing. What's more disturbing is how this ties into spiritual warfare, a battle not just for your peace, but for your soul. This video dives deep into how narcissists can manipulate their victims to the point of inducing obsessive thoughts and behaviors, particularly around sexuality, and why this manipulation is a form of spiritual warfare. By the end, you'll not only recognize these tactics, but also learn how to reclaim your power and shield yourself from such harm. So stay tuned as we unravel this complex and deeply personal topic. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with anyone who might benefit from this insight. Together, we can shed light on these hidden struggles and empower ourselves and others to break free. Now, let's get into it. Narcissists thrive on control, and their methods for achieving it often target the most vulnerable and sacred aspects of your identity, your sense of self-worth and personal boundaries. This relentless need for power manifests in many ways, but one of the most harmful is their ability to infiltrate your intimate life, twisting genuine human connection into a tool for manipulation. This manipulation isn't just surface level. It digs deep, shaking the very foundations of how you perceive yourself. When it comes to intimacy, their toxic influence can take an even darker and more invasive turn, leaving you questioning not only your actions and desires, but also your morality and worth as a person. In some cases, this emotional and psychological abuse can contribute to obsessive-compulsive thoughts revolving around sexual themes, often referred to as sexual OCD. These intrusive thoughts are fueled and exacerbated by the chaos they create, pulling you into a spiral of doubt and self-blame. The question might arise, why do narcissists often target intimacy and sexuality? The answer lies in the deeply personal and vulnerable nature of this aspect of human connection. For most people, intimacy represents a space of trust, emotional safety, and genuine connection. It's where we allow ourselves to be seen fully, without pretenses or defenses. Narcissists understand the significance of this vulnerability and see it as an opportunity for control. By infiltrating this sacred part of your life, they gain unparalleled access to your inner world, your fears, desires, and insecurities. They exploit this access with calculated precision, using charm to draw you in, guilt to keep you compliant, and shame to erode your confidence and autonomy. This combination of tactics creates a potent cocktail of confusion and dependence, ensuring that your thoughts remain fixated on them and the dynamics they've established. Every interaction with a narcissist feels like it carries an unspoken weight, as though there's always an underlying agenda driving their words and actions. This sense of manipulation becomes even more pronounced in intimate situations. Their behavior in these contexts is often a deliberate mix of seduction and control. On one hand, they may use charm and allure to make you feel desired and connected to them, creating an illusion of closeness that feels intoxicating. On the other hand, once they've drawn you in, they twist that connection into something that feels degrading, confusing, or even dehumanizing. This emotional whiplash leaves you in a constant state of uncertainty, trying to reconcile the moments of affection with the feelings of shame and doubt they leave in their wake. The psychological impact of this manipulation is profound. By targeting your sense of self through your intimate life, narcissists create an environment where you begin to doubt your own reality. You may find yourself constantly analyzing their actions and questioning their intentions, trying to make sense of the mixed signals they send. At the same time, you might begin to internalize the guilt and shame they project onto you, leading to obsessive, intrusive thoughts that feel impossible to escape. These thoughts often revolve around your worthiness, your desires, and even your identity, keeping you trapped in a cycle of self-blame and confusion. The result is a deep emotional dependency that reinforces their control, ensuring that your energy remains focused on them rather than on your own well-being and healing. What makes this form of manipulation so insidious is how it distorts the very concept of intimacy. Instead of being a source of comfort, connection, and mutual respect, intimacy with a narcissist becomes a battleground, a place where their need for control clashes with your need for authenticity and trust. They use every interaction as an opportunity to undermine your confidence, leaving you feeling unworthy, inadequate, and dependent on their validation. Over time, this dynamic chips away at your ability to trust not only them, but also yourself. You may begin to question your perceptions, your decisions, and even your ability to engage in healthy relationships outside of their influence. Breaking free from this cycle is challenging because the narcissist's manipulation is designed to keep you entangled. Their tactics are not accidental or unconscious. They are deliberate, calculated moves aimed at maintaining power over you. By targeting such a deeply personal aspect of your identity, they ensure that their influence extends beyond the surface, embedding itself in your thoughts, emotions, and sense of self. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward reclaiming your autonomy and rebuilding the parts of yourself that their manipulation has damaged. However, the process of healing requires time, support, and a commitment to rediscovering the parts of yourself that they tried to erase. The confusion and emotional turmoil caused by a narcissist's manipulation of intimacy can feel overwhelming, but it's important to remember that these tactics say more about them than they do about you. Their need to control stems from their own insecurities and inability to form genuine connections, not from any flaw or failing on your part. By understanding the methods they use and the impact those methods have on your psyche, you can begin to disentangle yourself from their influence. Each step you take towards self-awareness and healing is a step away from the control they seek to exert over you, allowing you to reclaim your sense of self and your capacity for authentic, meaningful relationships. The spiritual dimension of this form of manipulation is profound and cannot be overlooked. When someone deliberately distorts your perception of love, intimacy, and connection, they're not only playing with your mind, they're attacking your very soul. Such manipulation shakes the core of your being, creating ripples that affect your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. Narcissists often operate as agents of chaos, embodying energies that disrupt harmony and challenge your sense of inner peace. Their presence can feel like a storm, unsettling every aspect of your existence. This spiritual assault is why it's so essential to understand their tactics, recognize their patterns, and take deliberate steps to shield yourself from their influence. Protecting your spirit is as critical as protecting your mind and body, as the damage they inflict often leaves lasting scars that require deep healing to overcome. A key aspect of the narcissist's power lies in their ability to sow doubt and confusion, which often leads to the development of obsessive thought patterns like sexual OCD. This isn't an accidental byproduct of their behavior, it's a calculated tactic. Narcissists excel at distorting reality to serve their own needs, and they do so in ways that are deeply personal and invasive. They may accuse you of actions you've never taken, planting seeds of guilt and self-doubt. They might insinuate that your feelings or desires are inappropriate, leading you to question your morality and integrity. Their manipulation often involves crossing boundaries in subtle yet impactful ways, leaving you feeling unsettled and unsure of yourself. Each of these actions is designed to destabilize your sense of reality, making you second-guess your experiences and rely on them for validation. For instance, you might find yourself revisiting past interactions with them, obsessively analyzing every word, gesture, or moment to determine whether you misunderstood their intentions or behaved in a way that was somehow wrong. This endless cycle of rumination is one of the hallmarks of sexual OCD, a condition characterized by intrusive, obsessive thoughts about sexual themes. The narcissist's actions are intentionally designed to trigger and amplify these thoughts, keeping you in a state of emotional and mental preoccupation. They know that by flooding your mind with doubts and fears, they can keep you distracted from the bigger picture, their toxic behavior, and the harm they're causing. This distraction serves their purpose perfectly, as it ensures you remain emotionally tethered to them and unable to fully challenge or break free from their control. The spiritual impact of these tactics goes even deeper when you consider the sacred nature of love and intimacy. For many people, these aspects of life are deeply connected to their spiritual identity, representing trust, vulnerability, and a sense of divine connection. When a narcissist manipulates these sacred aspects, they're not just violating boundaries, they are waging a psychological and spiritual war. The confusion they create chips away at your ability to trust yourself and your own instincts, leaving you feeling disconnected not only from others, but also from your inner self. Over time, this disconnection can lead to a profound sense of emptiness or loss, as though a part of your spirit has been stolen or suppressed by their influence. In their quest for control, narcissists exploit the deeply personal nature of your intimate life to reinforce their dominance. They weaponize vulnerability, turning it into a tool for manipulation rather than connection. This deliberate twisting of intimacy and trust can leave you feeling as though you're caught in a web of emotional and spiritual turmoil. Even when you try to distance yourself, the obsessive thoughts and doubts they've planted may continue to haunt you, creating a lingering sense of unease and dependence. These intrusive thoughts are not only exhausting, but also serve as a constant reminder of their influence, making it even harder to reclaim your sense of peace and autonomy. Breaking free from the cycle of narcissistic manipulation demands a combination of mental resilience and spiritual strength. On a practical level, it starts with identifying the subtle and overt patterns of control that the narcissist employs. This awareness is key to reclaiming the mental clarity that their influence has clouded. Therapy can be a powerful tool, providing a safe space to process the emotional impact and develop strategies to regain control over your thoughts and behaviors. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation and journaling, can also help you ground yourself in the present moment, allowing you to separate the narcissist's manipulative tactics from your authentic reality. Setting firm boundaries is another critical step. These boundaries not only limit the narcissist's access to your life, but also reinforce your commitment to protecting your mental and emotional well-being. Every act of establishing and maintaining these limits is a declaration of self-respect and autonomy. On a deeper spiritual level, breaking free involves reconnecting with the essence of who you are. A narcissist's tactics often aim to strip you of your confidence, sense of purpose, and alignment with your values. To counter this, you must take deliberate steps to rebuild your inner world. Reflect on the beliefs and principles that ground you and bring you peace. These are your anchors, the unshakable truths that no manipulative force can take away. Engage in practices that nourish your soul, whether through prayer, meditation, or spending time in nature. These moments of connection can remind you of your inherent worth and help you find the strength to reclaim your power. Healing spiritually means re-establishing a relationship with yourself, one rooted in love, acceptance, and authenticity. The battle against a narcissist's influence is not just about regaining mental clarity. It is a profound fight for your soul. Narcissists thrive on chaos, and their methods are designed to erode your confidence, making you question your instincts and disconnect from the truth of who you are. They seek to replace your inner certainty with confusion, keeping you dependent on their approval and validation. But their tactics, no matter how calculated, are not undefeatable. The moment you begin to recognize their methods for what they are, deliberate attempts to destabilize and control, you reclaim the power they have worked so hard to strip away. Understanding their behavior is the first step, but taking proactive measures to protect yourself is what transforms that understanding into liberation. This process is not without challenges. There may be moments of doubt or setbacks where the emotional toll feels overwhelming. Yet each step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Reclaiming your life from the grip of manipulation is a journey of courage and perseverance, one that reveals the strength within you that the narcissist tried to suppress. With every boundary you set, every session of therapy you attend, every mindful breath you take, and every act of self-compassion you practice, you dismantle the power they once held over you. You are not just breaking free, you are rebuilding a life that is yours to define, guided by your truth and inner peace. As we bring this discussion to a close, it's important to remember that you are not alone in this struggle. Countless individuals have faced the manipulative tactics of narcissists and emerged victorious, stronger, and more resilient than before. Their stories of triumph stand as a testament to what is possible, and yours can be one of them. You have the strength, wisdom, and courage within you to navigate this journey and reclaim your sense of self. Your experiences, no matter how painful, do not define you. What defines you is the determination to rise above them and create a future that reflects your worth and potential. If this message has resonated with you, consider sharing it with others who might need this guidance. By liking, subscribing, and sharing this content, you contribute to a growing community of strength and resilience, a space where individuals uplift and empower one another in the face of these challenges. Together, we can create an environment of support and understanding, breaking the cycle of isolation that narcissistic manipulation often fosters. Thank you for being part of this conversation and for taking a step toward reclaiming your peace and power. Remember that your journey is unique and every step you take matters. Stay vigilant in protecting your mental and spiritual well-being and stay strong in the face of adversity. Your peace, your power, and your freedom are worth every effort. Until next time, may you continue to find the strength to fight for the life and happiness you deserve. 8 senseless things narcissists do after collapsing for real. Narcissists often project an image of invincibility, charming, confident, and in control. But beneath this carefully constructed persona lies a fragile self-esteem, one that can collapse when their web of deceit starts to unravel. So, what happens when a narcissist's facade cracks for real? The answer might surprise you, because the things they do in response to their collapse are often mind-boggling, illogical, and frankly senseless. In this video, we're diving deep into the bizarre and irrational actions narcissists tend to take when their world falls apart. If you've ever wondered why a narcissist reacts the way they do when faced with the consequences of their own actions, stick around. What you're about to hear will make everything clearer. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who might need to hear it. Let's get started. It's essential to understand that narcissists rely on their inflated sense of self-worth and their ability to manipulate those around them. The moment their carefully curated image is threatened, they can act in ways that seem completely disconnected from reality. So, let's look at 8 senseless things narcissists typically do when they finally collapse for real. 1. Playing the victim when they're clearly the aggressor. One of the most infuriating and predictable tactics employed by narcissists when their carefully constructed world begins to fall apart is the immediate shift to playing the victim. Despite being the very cause of the chaos and destruction, they somehow manage to manipulate the situation in a way that places the blame squarely on others, particularly those who have suffered at their hands. It's almost as if they convince themselves that, by portraying themselves as innocent victims, they can escape responsibility for their actions. They might claim that life is unfair, or that the world is conspiring against them, even though it's their own behavior that has led to their downfall. This twisted sense of injustice is particularly maddening because it not only downplays the real harm they've caused, but also manipulates those around them into questioning their own perceptions of the situation. It's a deeply frustrating and perplexing maneuver that many people have difficulty understanding, as it turns the tables and seeks to elicit sympathy for someone who, in reality, deserves none. The narcissist will often exaggerate their suffering to the point of absurdity, making grandiose statements about how everything in their life is falling apart and how they are the victim of unfair circumstances. This portrayal of themselves as a martyr or a victim of cruel fate is a tactic designed to elicit sympathy from others and manipulate them into aligning with their narrative. Their ultimate goal is to avoid facing the consequences of their actions and to shift the blame away from themselves, all while convincing others that they are the ones who have been wronged. This manipulation can be especially effective on those who are empathetic or unaware of the narcissist's true nature, as it taps into the human instinct to defend the perceived victim and to right perceived wrongs. However, those who see through this tactic understand it for what it is: a deliberate and manipulative effort to escape accountability. 2. Denial of the collapse. Another hallmark of a narcissist's response to their world crumbling is an almost delusional denial of their downfall. No matter how undeniable the evidence of their failure may be, whether it's the end of a relationship, a dramatic loss of status, or a complete financial collapse, the narcissist will often refuse to accept what is happening. They will ignore reality in favor of a fabricated narrative where everything is still under their control. Even when all the signs point to failure, they will continue to assert that everything is perfectly fine, repeating phrases like, "This is just a minor setback," or "I'm just going through a rough patch." They may insist that there is no need for concern, even as their entire world crumbles around them. This refusal to acknowledge the collapse is not just a temporary coping mechanism. It is a deeply ingrained defense mechanism that narcissists use to protect their fragile egos from being shattered by the harsh truths of their situation. In their minds, admitting failure would be akin to admitting their own inadequacies, something they simply cannot bear to do. Their entire self-worth is based on the illusion of superiority and control, and acknowledging failure would directly threaten this illusion. Thus, they cling to denial as a means of maintaining the facade they have spent years building. This behavior can be deeply frustrating for those around them, especially when the narcissist's refusal to face reality leads to even greater damage. The longer they refuse to acknowledge the truth, the harder it becomes to deal with the consequences of their actions, both for themselves and for others. Ultimately, their refusal to accept responsibility can lead to further chaos, leaving everyone involved trapped in a cycle of denial and avoidance. 3. Projecting their own failures onto others. As the collapse of their world continues, narcissists often turn to a tactic that is both maddening and frustrating: projection. Instead of taking responsibility for their own failures, they will attempt to shift the blame onto others, accusing them of the very things they are guilty of themselves. If they've lied, manipulated, or cheated, they will suddenly accuse those around them of being deceitful or manipulative, completely disregarding their own role in the situation. This sudden and absurd shift in blame is one of the narcissist's most infuriating behaviors, as it turns the tables and forces others to defend themselves against false accusations. It is not just a way to avoid accountability. It is a way to maintain the illusion that they are somehow superior to everyone else. The narcissist's need to project their own flaws onto others is rooted in their inability to confront their own shortcomings. Rather than take a hard look at their own behavior and accept responsibility for their mistakes, they prefer to point fingers and make others feel guilty for things they never did. This tactic allows them to keep their own ego intact by shifting the focus away from their own failures and onto those around them. It is a desperate attempt to maintain the illusion of control and superiority, even in the face of overwhelming evidence of their own incompetence and dysfunction. This behavior can be particularly harmful to those who are close to the narcissist, as it often leads to emotional manipulation, confusion, and self-doubt. The narcissist's need to deflect blame is a constant source of frustration and conflict, especially for those who have been harmed by their actions. 4. Desperate attempts to regain control. When a narcissist's world begins to fall apart, their sense of control slips away, and they will often resort to desperate measures in an attempt to regain it. These attempts to regain control are frequently irrational, extreme, and often dangerous. The narcissist may resort to stalking, harassing, or creating chaos to reassert dominance over the situation, believing that by stirring the pot, they can force things to go back to their preferred status quo. They may even attempt to manipulate their friends, family, or colleagues into siding with them, dragging them into a situation that has nothing to do with them. This frantic effort to regain control often has the opposite effect, as it exposes the narcissist's vulnerabilities and creates even more chaos in their wake. Their actions are often erratic, fueled by a desperate need to reassert their power and influence. They may engage in reckless behavior, including emotional blackmail, spreading lies, or trying to cause division between others to create a sense of instability. This behavior stems from the narcissist's overwhelming fear of losing control, which in their mind equates to losing their identity and sense of superiority. The more their world unravels, the more they will try to grasp onto whatever semblance of power they can find, even if it means harming those around them. These frantic, often bizarre attempts to regain control reveal just how fragile the narcissist's grip on reality truly is, as they are willing to go to great lengths, often damaging themselves and others in the process, to maintain their illusion of power and control. 5. Self-sabotage as a cry for attention. It's fascinating, and often deeply frustrating, that narcissists, when faced with their own inevitable collapse, can resort to self-sabotage as a means of gaining attention. Instead of confronting the reality of their failure, they turn to destructive behaviors, often making reckless decisions that harm themselves and those around them. These actions can range from excessive spending to engaging in toxic relationships or making disastrous career moves. The driving force behind this self-destructive behavior is not a true desire to ruin their lives, but rather a deep, desperate need for attention. Narcissists crave validation, and if they are unable to get the kind of attention they want, they may escalate their behavior in increasingly destructive ways, hoping that someone will notice them and rush to save them from their mess. In their minds, any attention, even negative, is better than no attention at all. If their initial outbursts or reckless behavior fail to elicit the response they want, they may go even further, pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable in the hope that someone will intervene. This desperate attempt to draw attention can often come across as an emotional tantrum, where the narcissist throws everything they have into an attempt to regain the spotlight, even if it means burning bridges with those around them. In many cases, the goal is not to achieve any specific outcome, but simply to be the center of attention once more, regardless of whether that attention is positive or negative. This cry for help, disguised as self-sabotage, reveals just how deeply the narcissist is dependent on external validation and how far they are willing to go to reclaim their sense of importance. 6. Rewriting history. Perhaps one of the most baffling behaviors of a narcissist during a collapse is their attempt to rewrite history. When their carefully constructed persona begins to crack, they often turn to revisionism, attempting to alter the way they are remembered by others. They will tell stories about their past that bear no resemblance to the truth, casting themselves as victims or heroes in situations where they were, in fact, the antagonist. This deliberate distortion of the past is part of their broader effort to manipulate how they are perceived by others. They want to be seen as blameless or even righteous, even when the evidence clearly shows that they were the one at fault. By twisting the narrative, they hope to gain sympathy and understanding from others, re-establishing their position as someone who deserves admiration and respect. The narcissist's need to control the narrative is driven by a deep fear of being seen for who they truly are. When their facade starts to crumble, rewriting history becomes a coping mechanism to maintain their inflated self-image. By changing the past, they believe they can manipulate those around them into forgetting their misdeeds, or at least forgiving them. This revisionism is not merely a tactic to cover up their flaws, but a fundamental attempt to reshape their identity in the eyes of others. They may fabricate elaborate stories, casting themselves in a heroic light, or blaming others for their failures. The more they distort reality, the more they try to force others to view them as they wish to be seen, rather than as they truly are. 7. Manipulating others for sympathy. In the aftermath of their collapse, narcissists often turn to manipulation as a way to win back the sympathy and emotional support they desperately crave. Having caused the very situations they now complain about, they will reach out to friends, family, or even ex-partners with sob stories, trying to evoke sympathy for their struggles. They will paint a picture of their life as being overwhelmingly difficult, portraying themselves as victims of their circumstances, even though they are the ones who created the chaos. This manipulation is a way for them to regain some semblance of control and to pull others back into their emotional web, where they can continue to extract validation and support. In some cases, narcissists will take their manipulation even further, using vulnerable individuals, such as children or other family members, as pawns in their game. They may twist the truth or exaggerate their plight, pulling on the heartstrings of those who care about them in order to win favor and avoid facing the consequences of their actions. This tactic is particularly insidious because it preys on the compassion of others, making it difficult for people to recognize that they are being manipulated. The narcissist's ability to evoke sympathy, despite being the one at fault, is a testament to their skill in playing on others' emotions. It's a way for them to maintain control over their relationships and to avoid dealing with the fallout from their own behavior. 8. Seeking to destroy those who expose them. Perhaps the most dangerous response a narcissist has when their true nature is exposed is to seek revenge on those who have dared to reveal the truth. The narcissist's sense of entitlement is so ingrained that they believe anyone who uncovers their flaws or exposes their deceit must be punished. Their response can be extreme and vindictive, including character assassination, spreading lies, or even resorting to legal action to silence their critics. When someone exposes the narcissist for who they really are, they perceive it as an existential threat, one that must be eliminated at all costs. This desire to destroy anyone who dares to challenge their carefully crafted image is an attempt to maintain whatever power and control they have left. The narcissist's vindictive behavior is driven by an intense fear of being publicly humiliated or losing their status. In their minds, anyone who points out their flaws or brings their true nature to light is not just a critic. They are a threat to their very survival. The narcissist's response is to destroy that threat by any means necessary, even if it means ruining the lives of others in the process. This behavior is particularly dangerous because it shows the lengths to which the narcissist is willing to go to protect their ego. They will stop at nothing to ensure that their secrets are kept hidden, and anyone who dares to expose them becomes a target. This desire for revenge is a testament to the narcissist's deep need for control and their refusal to accept the reality of their own shortcomings. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and explore the irrational behaviors narcissists exhibit when their world comes crashing down. The collapse of a narcissist can be a bizarre, unpredictable, and deeply frustrating experience. But understanding these senseless actions can help you navigate your own interactions with them. If this video resonated with you, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might be dealing with narcissists in their own lives. Together, we can create a supportive community where we can lift each other up in the face of toxic relationships. Remember, you are not alone, and your peace and well-being are worth protecting. Stay strong, stay vigilant, and we'll see you in the next video.